traditionally works with almost every department in a company. Whether you're in a company, whether you're in a not-for-profit organization, you generally work for the top executives or the top administrators. They're the ones that determine what messages they want out and what target audiences they want to work for. You have to work with the marketing people if there are separate marketing people. Sometimes in small agencies, you're the only one. Sometimes in small companies, if you're the PR guy, you're also the marketing guy, and you have to do all of that. In bigger companies, public relations is broken out as its own separate thing. And then you have to work with the marketing department to make sure that when they're rolling new products out, you're getting the press releases out, you're getting the publicity that you need, whether it's online or in publications. One of the interpersonal challenges you run into is that the marketing folks think that their stuff is just their stuff. Their schedule is their schedule. Everybody else should follow along. And sometimes they don't pay attention to the needs of the public relations person to have photography done in advance and to have press releases done and to target that, because that takes time to get that out. And with social media, that time frame is shortened a lot. But you still have to have nice photography. You still have to write whatever goes on the social media site. So that doesn't just happen in a day usually. It usually takes multiple days. And you have to work with those people in marketing to make sure that you have the time to do that, make sure that they share the information. If you've got a good relationship, that happens.
What if you don't have?
That if you don't have a good relationship,
or you have the conflict with their schedule.
Well, you have to be persistent, and you have to be able to justify what you're doing. So if they say, well, we can't have it until this time, you have to be able to explain to them why it takes the time that's required to produce something to get it out appropriately, whether it's out onto social media or out into publications. You have to be able to negotiate sometimes, because their schedule may not meet your schedule, and everybody's got to work towards the same goal of getting publicity and getting notification out to consumers for the product or the service, whatever it is. Sometimes you have differences of opinion with executives that are your supervisors or that you do projects for. And sometimes you have to educate them on the value of public relations.
Yeah, that's exactly the question I wanted to ask you is about like how you're gonna like educate them, especially with the people who are in a higher status than us, you know.
Well, again, you need to really understand your job. You need to really understand the goals of the company or the organization. I had an instance where the president of an organization wanted me to get a press release and a photograph into the local newspaper about our chorus, our singing group. And my question to him was, well, okay, but what have we done that warrants attention? And his response was, it doesn't matter. We're a singing group. We're here in a community. They need to cover us. Well, the answer really is, no, they don't. No, they don't. So you have to be armed and armed with knowledge about what is it that the local newspaper, the local magazine, or the local television station, what is it that they're interested in? And most of the time it's the standard news story. Has something blown up? Has something collapsed? Has somebody hurt? You know, those are top news stories. You don't have those every day.
No.
So you have to be able to come up with something that's newsworthy. Is it new? Is it different? Is it unique? Is the fact that you're producing this having an effect on a market or a target group of people? You know, if you're producing wheelchairs, that's different than if you're producing soup. So getting people interested sometimes is a challenge. Sometimes you can participate in trade shows, or you can participate in local community groups. There's a wine festival over in Mound City, and a lot of small businesses who have craft items will exhibit there. Nobody's going to cover press release on craft items. That isn't going to happen. But they can be seen by a part of the consuming public by being in that show, or being in there's a home show here in town, and most big cities have a home show that's tied to realtors. It depends on what the product or service is. So there sometimes are exhibits that you can put up and you can display what you're doing. So there's a variety of things that you can do in public relations. But the interpersonal relationship for your executive, coming back to the executive,
Yeah.
you have to be able to explain to them what really makes something newsworthy. And that's straight out of the journalism textbooks. What makes it newsworthy? Again, it's if it's new, if it's unusual, if it's bizarre, if it's unique, if it serves a different purpose. If you have those, then you've got something to build a story around. But just getting press coverage because you exist doesn't do it. That just isn't it. So sometimes you have to educate an executive as to what public relations really can do. It isn't a magic ball. It isn't a magic wand and you wave it and things happen. It takes work. So.
Yeah. So basically, we always are looking for the goals of the company.
Right.
Yeah. So whenever we have a conflict with our coworkers or our like boss or supervisors, we're always looking for
The
way
big
aligned
challenge.
with- yeah.
The big challenge for the PR professional is to have good relationships, positive relationships with everybody possible. Because if you don't have a good relationship with people, you can't get your job done effectively. When I worked at a manufacturing company, I needed to be on a good relationship with the supervisors in the factory, because sometimes I would need to take a picture in the factory, or I'd need to get some information from them. But I also needed to have a good relationship with people in the marketing department, the sales department, engineering, because there were times that I needed information for a press release or for a flyer or for a trade show display, and those departments had that information. So it was critical that I developed a positive relationship with all of those areas.
Yeah. So what if you like run into a conflict with one, no matter it's small or big, or schedule, or like different goals, or like personal or something like that? Would you? Yeah.
Oh gosh, my first thought would be to address it directly with the person and try and work out whatever difference you had. Hopefully it wasn't something so horrible that you just can't work with the person. If that's the case, then you'd have to go to your supervisor and let them know that you're having this problem, and let them know that you're probably going to have to go around at that person to get the job done. But take the initiative. Don't sit and wait. Because most of the time what you're doing in PR is just like marketing, it's time sensitive. You've got to hit a deadline. And if somebody's in your way or somebody's not helping, you do your best to get along with them or to work with them, and if that isn't possible, you alert your supervisor to what you're doing, and then go around them to get the information you need to get the project done.
Okay. So, it's really like time sensitive. So has to go. Sometimes have to go through to the person that we have to working with. If it's like not, we have to go find another way that.
Find another way around.
Around.
Yeah, find another way around. I always made sure that my supervisor knew that I was going around the first person that I would go to, because that can backfire on you. try with that first person, that person that's most likely to help you. But if they refuse or they won't work with you, then alert your boss that you're still working on it, you're going to be successful as you can be, and that you're going around that person. I can't, in 20 years in the field, I can't think of an instant of that happening. I worked really hard at being a nice guy.
Yeah.
I worked really hard at getting along with everybody. And they all knew I had a job to do too. So going in, you don't make enemies. You don't try and run over people. You don't come in and be a bull in the china shop and just knock things down.
Yeah.
You come in and you do your best to work with everybody. Because theoretically, you all should have the same goal in mind, and that is the success of the organization.
True. Yeah.
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 So that starts on day one.
Yeah.
That starts on day one.
But everybody have their own sub goals. They have there are always some office politics going on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And how you gonna still be everybody like you and not get involved into their own.
Well, number
stuff.
one, you try and not participate a whole lot in the rumors. Try to not to participate in the politics of the office. Try to avoid that as much as possible.
So avoiding the politics.
Yeah, avoid the politics. You don't need it. 9 times out of 10, it isn't going to do you any good. And all it is a lot of times just rumors and people talking about other people, and you don't gain a whole lot from that. And it can cause you a whole lot more problems than anything else. So you stay away from it.
Stay away from it.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And also the one thing of being a good guy is everybody else will asking you for doing a favor for them, right?
That happens. Sure.
That happens.
That happens.
But how?
And if you can,
yeah,
you do it. If it violates a company rule, you explain that you can't do it because it violates a company rule. For instance, if I'm going to a trade show and a reporter wants to know something about products that are coming down the line, but we haven't announced anything yet, and I know I can't announce that, I may have a great relationship with that reporter, but I can't tell them. You don't let information out because it does a couple of things. One, it makes that reporter think, I can get all kinds of things out of this person. I'll do it in future days. Well, that's not good. Number two, if you give one reporter information and another reporter finds out, you've just burned that relationship with that second reporter and every other reporter that follows him. If I've got 8 or 10 people, most of the time you have less than that. For instance, when I worked at Holiday Rambler, it was a trailer company. They built travel trailers. And there were 3 major magazines in the field. So at a trade show or a big exhibition, reporters from all 3 would be there. I wouldn't dare let one have something that the other 2 didn't have. It just didn't happen. Because the other 2 wouldn't do a good story on my next product that came out. Because they didn't get the first one. Now, one thing that we did do different with that is there was one magazine that strictly went to end consumers, the people who bought travel trailers. And they had a special feature once a year of what's being released this year. So we always let them borrow a travel trailer, or 2 or 3, and take that out and do a road test with it. We always let them do that because they had a big issue and nobody else had that issue. Nobody else did that kind of reporting. So in that case, we did give them an exclusive. And it was only an exclusive for 30 days, and at that point, everything was out, and press releases were out, and everybody else knew about it. But in the meantime, they had a special issue where they had road tests on everything. So it depends on the situation. You have to know the publications. You have to know the medium. Social media has changed a lot of that. In the case of social media, in that case, with that publication, we would have put it on the social media, here's our new model, but all you see is a picture and a list of specifications. Whereas that magazine gets to take it on a road test for a few days, and they write a whole story about what the road test was